5:59. I guess I have to wait a minute, huh? Who's this? It is 6 o'clock, March 10th. Welcome to everyone in the audience. Next item up on our agenda is recognitions. Jamar, would you like to start us out, please?
Absolutely. Okay,
It's all about the love, man. Come on.
I see. Recognitions are? Yes, recognitions. The European Union Center at the University of Illinois recently announced Dawn Haken and Natalie Bina, Central High School students and AP German class members at Centennial High School, as the first and second place winners of the 2013-2014 high school essay contest titled Circles of Friendship or Citizenship.
The Edison Middle School 8th grade boy basketball team recently raised $500 for March of Dimes through their free throw fundraiser.
The Champaign Early Childhood Center recently hosted 2 lunch brunch events sponsored by the Young Children Priority 1 Committee of the Kiwanis Club of Champaign-Urbana. Parents were invited to join their pre-K students for a pizza lunch at school. Students received bags filled with fun learning activities and a winter-themed book. Thank you to Young Children Priority 1 Committee of the Kiwanis Club of Champaign-Urbana for providing the pizza and volunteers to serve lunch.
Congratulations to the Franklin Middle School 7th grade boys basketball team, who made it to the state finals. Though they did not win the final game, the team had an outstanding season.
The Centennial Speech Team advanced 2 performers to the IHSA State Finals in Peoria, Illinois recently, with impressive results for both of these talented students. Centennial's Mecca Muhammad was a 5th place medalist in special occasion speaking, while state qualifier Ann Zola placed 8th in dramatic interpretation.
Centennial School psychologist Ondine Gross recently presented at the National Association of School Psychologists Conference in Washington, D.C. This annual conference is attended by over 5,000 school psychologists and educators from across the nation. Gross presented a 120-minute mini-skills workshop entitled How to Conduct Effective Teacher-Student Mediations in Secondary Schools. The presentation highlighted Tier 2 interventions that have shown to reduce discipline referrals and improve school climate at Centennial.
Congratulations to Franklin Middle School's Math Counts team, which will advance to the state competition this month.
Congratulations to Central High School students Cedric B. Jones and John Lynn Miller. Miller was named the regional champion and Jones the runner-up in the regional Poetry Out Loud National Recitation Contest. Thank you to the 40 North, 88 West for facilitating the contest and their ongoing support of our students.
Congratulations to Board of Education member Karis Lee, who was awarded the Parkland College Innovation in Engagement Award at the Innovation Celebration on February 27th.
Congratulations to Dr. Fuad Abdelkhalik at the Endless team at the University of Illinois, who were awarded the Entrepreneurial Excellence Social Venture Award at the Innovation Celebration on February 27th. This group was honored for their work with Booker T. Washington STEM Academy and with our teachers district-wide in the area of STEM education.
9 students from Kenwood Elementary School recently presented at the Students Involved in Technology Conference in Normal, Illinois. The students showed the computer programming skills they have developed using eToys in the classroom.
Art students at Centennial High School have joined the Memory Project, a nationwide initiative in which art students create portraits for children and teens around the world who are living in orphanages or similar homes. Centennial art teacher Shannon Percoco has received a $600 TEPR grant to participate in the project. This work was recently featured on Channel 3 WCIA.
Unit 4 Instructional Technology Coaches Heidi Berkey, Julie Fight, Ariel Unbar Banel, and Matt Sly, as well as Kenwood teachers Todd Lash and Minsu Park, recently presented at the Illinois Computer Education Conference. Their presentations highlighted the need for collaboration between school technology coaches and the computer programming work taking place at Kenwood.
You know, it's nice to see so many of our teachers presenting outside of our district, really showcasing our talent that we have in the district. Next item, spotlight video.
It's important as a school district that we have a strategic plan. And so we have the Great Schools Together plan that was developed in 2009. It's important that we take a look at what those goals are stating because the community came together and established those goals. We are the Champaign Community Unit School District, and I want to emphasize the community in that title.
Using the budget, it allows us to look at what our goals are, which Dr. Wiegand has been very good about sharing with the community and having input from the community, and then trying to make sure that that budget reflects what her goals or intentions are as we make those decisions to serve and support our students.
So we do a variety of different outreach to the community, whether it's my own superintendent suppers, which are a very informal way to get out and allow people to come and talk to me about what they view is important. There's also different meetings that are held. This year we're going to take a look at holding a few town hall meetings so that people can come and talk and respond to issues that are on the radar. For example, the big question would be, where will we build a new central high school? And when should we go for a referendum? Also having that second meeting of the month, which is the study session with the Board of Education, which again allows people to participate in the meeting itself by being able to come and provide comments on the different topics that are listed on the agenda.
We're starting a facilities committee. We'll have a couple of board members on there as well. We'll have some community members. We'll have people involved from the city as well as our operations and maintenance administrators to be able to look at what our current situation is and help to plan for the future. Financial stewardship is crucial in the sense that you want to be able to have options. If you don't have good finances, it limits the number of choices you have as a school district. The recent history of the housing bubble burst as well as the Great Recession that we're slowly coming out of, our district's in a better position than many. A lot of districts right now are making some cuts that are pretty significant, whereas we made some choices earlier because we had them available to us, and we decided to do a little bit of tightening of the belt prior to this year, which has allowed us to make a few cuts, but not have to bear the burden of so many large cuts, which have a huge drastic impact on programs all at one time.
I think one of the challenges is being able to have a stronger tie to different businesses in our community. So for example, I currently serve on the board for the Economic Development Council. I know one thing that's come to my attention is the need for a program of study around computer technology, an ever-changing field. So what are those essential understandings and skills that employers believe they will need in the future? And then how can we respond to those by developing the courses for our students?
It's in the name of our organization. We're a community school district, and it really comes down to the community is who we're here to serve, and we need to know what their needs are for us to be able to serve them best. So that planning process is crucial to have them involved so we know that we're meeting the needs that they feel that we need to serve.
Very nice. Next item on the agenda, communications, CFT. Thanks, Kathy. Communications from CESP. Communications from PTA Council. Any audience member communications? Nope, that wouldn't be yet. Communications from board members. Christine.
I do. Well, I just wanted to say that this past weekend, it was a great weekend to be from Unit 4. First of all, Friday night with the basketball game between Central and Centennial, somebody had to win. One team was going to leave winning the game, but it could not have been a closer matchup between two awesome teams. But the really wonderful thing about the game was the people there. A great mix of students, loads of students, and parents and young kids. It was really a family thing to do. There were babies there, there were little kids there. Everyone was there, everyone was having a great time. The sportsmanship between the students, between the both the players and the fans was awesome. Just a lot of great fun, be it loud, very loud fun, and just the behavior overall. I was really, really proud of both of our high schools and our community and everyone who came out and just cheered two groups of great athletes on. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Science Olympiad, which was this past weekend. And all of our middle schools and our high schools were represented there, and what a great showing. Every time there was a award, there were very few times there was any event that at least one group from Unit 4 didn't place. And then overall, Edison Middle School got first place for middle schools, and Central JV got first place in the JV. Just awesome dedication from our students and the faculty that works with them. Countless hours went into the studying and creating of those projects. Again, I couldn't be more proud of our district, whether it be athletics or the sciences. Our kids are doing great things.
Thank you, Christine. Any other board member comments? Comments from student ambassador?
Well, I just have a quick update on everything that's just happening at Centennial High School. We have a really special group that's very new but very exciting. It's called Student Leadership Committee, and it's where every captain and president of different clubs and teams comes together on twice a month on Thursdays. And during our lunch, we discuss what we want to do to make a difference in Centennial High School. And so we have lots of things that are going on that are pretty exciting, one of which is organizing a quad day. So students can learn about involvement sooner in the year and more frequently throughout the year to kind of increase the community feel of Centennial. And of course, we're all looking forward to spring in general, whether that's spring break, the spring musical. Dance marathon is something that's very big at Centennial now. And of course, all the spring sports. So that's kind of what's happening at Centennial, but it's all exciting.
Excellent, thank you. I think we're all ready for spring. We're past ready for spring. Let's see. Upcoming events. You know, Ileana, why don't you start us off?
Sure. March 11th, Choice Chat, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at the Family Information Center.
March 17th through April 4th, balanced calendar, spring intercession.
I get the best one, March 24th to 28th, spring break.
March 31st, special board meeting, 6 p.m.
Can I go back and add one? Because I think we're going to have a board meeting next Monday, the 17th at 6 p.m. I made one up, so you can go.
Made one up.
Yeah, made one up.
April 7th, Jefferson Middle School Open House, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m.
April 8th, Franklin Middle School Open House, 6:30 to 8 p.m.
April 10th, the Senior Gold Club Card Breakfast, 9:30 to 10:30 at Southside Elementary.
And April 10th, Edison Middle School Open House from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m.
What defines the senior? Is this a McDonald's age number, or is it senior in high school, or is?
I think it's 55.
55, wow.
And you get, by signing up for Gold Card, you get a card that gets you into all the regular high school events and all the sporting events and plays and music and anything other than the regionals and things like that, the IHSA higher level events.
And if anyone's interested in that, they can contact Lauren Smith, Community Outreach Coordinator, and she can get them the information.
Excellent, thank you, Ken.
And
That
if
was
they're younger, they can just do a fake ID and probably.
awesome, Susan. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tim.
One of the other things that I think I saw in Stephanie's weekly update was your State of the District,
Mhm.
right, is upcoming
Yes.
April 3rd.
Correct, April 3rd, so that's through PTA Council, and it's usually their last meeting of the year, so that will be on April 3rd, and at that time, we'll just highlight the work that's being done in the district.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Okay, next item, we have BLDD, Champaign Schools Qualified Learning Environment Outcomes Analysis. Matt Foster.
Good evening. We have a couple of people here to present some of the work that our Facilities Committee has been doing this year. One of the things that we've been focusing on is our long-term strategic plan for our district facilities. BLDD was hired to help us with this long-term planning. They came to us with a software called Quantitative Learning Environmental Outcomes, and they were able to take a look at what our current facilities are and what our future needs are. And I don't want to steal too much thunder because it can be covered in the presentation. So with that, though, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Joan Dykstra, one of the committee members, Sam Johnson from BLDD, and I'll be up there as well.
Good evening. Yes, this is Unit 4, Facilities Committee presentation to the Board of Education. I'm Joan Dykstra, and I am the Village of Savoy trustee, and I'm a liaison to this committee. And I have many, many years in education. This is the list of the Facility Committee, and it really represents a wide range of community members, board members, administrators, educators, government leaders, and we had several participants as well. So we had a very good cross-section to work on this this proposal. So let's talk a little bit about the agenda for this evening. Where we began, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute with DeJong Richter. And then I'll talk about what the charge of the Facilities Committee was and still is. And then I think Matt and or Sam will talk about the process and we'll talk about the scenarios modeled. And then I'll come back and help out with some of the recommendations that we came up with after all of our brainstorming and all of our meetings. And then obviously there's time for questions. It seems to me though that if you have questions throughout, that it might be fine and dandy just to ask them when it comes up. So where we began, I remember, with the flyers and all of the input and all of the encouragement that Unit 4 gave to the community to bring together all of everybody's complaints and criticisms and ideas throughout the process, where DeJong Richter, they were educational consultants and facilitators, and they began this due diligence with us with the future facilities process. And as you remember, we started in November, I think it was, of 2012 to address the whole range of long-term space needs for the district. They helped facilitate community dialogue conferences. I'm sure many of us went to at least one of them, as well as public phone polling, online questionnaires, individual input. Basically, any way that we could get information from the public, we did. The steering committee, which I was on that as well, continued to meet and gather enormous amounts of data and demographics that resulted in the presentation and recommendations to the school board. I think it was back in May of last year. I brought, I won't hold it up, but I brought just a little portion of the data that we got from all of that input, and that was very worthwhile because it's worthwhile on where we're going, where we needed to go from there. Now, Sam, if you have any more, I'm going to come back, but if he has anything more about that part, I'm going to let him jump in.
Thanks, Joan, and good evening. Specifically, we started with recommendation number 1 from the DeJong Richter report, which noted that based on community feedback addressing Central High School, Dr. Howard, Edison, Southside, and Centennial should be given the highest priority. They also mentioned other facilities based on what they saw as long-term needs that would be also addressed, and they had some recommended phasing. They talked about having a K-8 addition at Barkstall, or perhaps a new K-8 located somewhere at a later time. They also talked about renovations and additions at Franklin Middle School, Jefferson Middle School, and renovations and additions at Kirby, or possibly also a new elementary school. So a version of this is where we began. That's what we started to model as scenario number 1.
This was the charge of the Facilities Committee. We discussed this at the first and basically every meeting to ensure that we were objective and that we were data-driven in our analysis. So we considered all of the options for each of the facilities that were included in this analysis. And we developed a recommendation plan based on all of that input. And again, going back to the DeJong Richter information as well. And with that cost-benefit analysis, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And we then were charged then to present it to the school board. As you know, the facilities that are included, Central, Centennial, which I suppose most people would say were the biggest drivers of this project. Then Dr. Howard, Southside, Kirby, which is the old Carrie Busey, as well as Edison, Franklin, and Jefferson. All right, the process, and I'm going to give this to Sam to do the heavy lifting.
Thanks again, Joan. The process of master planning can be a challenging one for districts because frequently so much of it ends up being qualitative and not quantitative. Over the years, we've decided to put together a process that would allow for equal measures of qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis. So what we'd like to do is briefly review the process that we used to help the Facilities Committee come to the recommendations they've come to tonight. We use a process that, as Matt mentioned, we call CLEO, stands for Quantified Learning Environment Outcomes. It's a master plan modeling and analysis tool, and I'd like to just briefly review how it works. Essentially, we always have to start by understanding where we are, what are our needs. We need to be able to diagnose before we can prescribe. The two predominant needs, the biggest needs, are physical needs, the condition of the building, and functional needs, the educational needs, how well the buildings serve the educational program. So the physical needs are determined through walkthroughs of the building, collecting data about the infrastructure, the environment, the interior environment, O&M costs, energy efficiency, safety, security, and technology. We've recently completed the 10-year health life safety survey for the district, so that information is very fresh. The other assessment is a little more less familiar. People are less familiar with actually evaluating schools on how well they serve your educational program. For this process, we use a tool developed by the Council of Educational Facility Planners called the Guide for School Facility Appraisal. And what it does is it measures a school on 6 categories, the 6 categories that you see here. It develops a score of how well each of them meet the educational program. And then at the end of this, you can determine how well facilities, again, serve the educational need. This is pretty important because when you're looking at trying to develop an idea, a quantifiable idea of how well schools of varying ages and varying conditions serve their function, this is a helpful benchmark. We performed this assessment with my partner, Barbara Meek, who is a teacher in a previous life who had later decided to become an architect. She walked through the facilities with members of the staff, so we had the same set of eyes reviewing everything and applied assistant grading criteria. Here's briefly how it works. You know, with all of your buildings, there are a number of possibilities. We call each possibilities with a building an option. So for instance, if you had 3 buildings in the district, you have various options. And you're going to note this color key is reinforced throughout the presentation. If you were to build an addition, you can see the green, actually it shows up yellow here, but the yellow shows you could build an addition to building A. You could remodel it which would be the orange. You can repurpose it, which is the blue. You can retire it, which is the red, or you could construct a new facility, which is the green color. So if you look at all of the possible combinations, it can be very daunting to try and understand which makes the most sense moving forward. So what we do is we put together a cost-benefit analysis, a cost-benefit comparison. We want to model the life cycle costs, which really are a closer approximation to the true cost of ownership. So what we'll do is we'll look at not only the first cost of construction, but we'll also look at the energy costs projected over 30 years, the operations and maintenance costs projected over 30 years, and the renewal costs. Renewal costs are described as follows. Buildings are comprised of systems with predictable lifespans, and so we assign lifespans for modeling purposes. And we project that over a certain time period, in this case 30 years. And when you add all those costs up, using the appropriate discounting factors and then bring them back using a present worth factor into today's dollars, you come up with the appropriate life cycle cost for each option. We do that for every building in all of the scenarios. So that's one half of the equation. The other half of the equation is the educational adequacy. For each of the proposed changes, we rescore the building. So you can see that for this cost, you get this benefit. Once you've got those two things together, you've got the cost-benefit comparison. So now we have a quantifiable measure to accompany our qualitative analysis. And so Joan, I think, will continue our presentation.
This was our charge. On October 17th, we brainstormed. We broke into groups and we came up with 11 color-coded scenarios for the space needs of the district. Then on October 24th, there were revisions and edits, and those scenarios, they were organized and we made substantial revisions through the collaborative process. Then on November 14th, we saw that preliminary CLEO report where the strengths and the weaknesses of each scenario started to become evident in the process. But in addition to revising the scenarios, a few other newer scenarios and proposals were suggested, and they needed to be then evaluated and incorporated. Then November 20th, well, meanwhile, let me explain that during this time, several people did research by taking a field trip to, I think, the Peoria area to gather information about the pros and cons of K-8 schools. So you can see then November 20th and February 20th, there was a gap in time, and that was so that BLDD then could take all of our information, do all of, the assessments and analysis, and then came back to us on February 20th. The committee received the cost-benefit analysis, and we worked on then rating the scenarios and narrowing the field until we felt comfortable with the final CLEO results for the board then to assess. You can see that this space needs study was done in anticipation for the projected enrollments. K through 5, 4,780, 6 through 8, 2,244, and 9 through 12, 3,207. And this, as you can see, is from the DeJong Richter projected data. All right, the next is the scenarios.
The group was very creative, and we had no shortage of ideas. In told, I think we looked at 18 different ideas. But on the very first day, October 17th, we brainstormed. We came up with this chart, essentially, which represented, it was a graphic representation of the different scenarios, and I am going to briefly review the first that were developed. You're going to notice that there is a name here, and through the process of iteration and reiteration, 2 of them evolved so much they don't resemble the original name, but I kept the original name just for consistency. So I'm only going to go through the specifics of scenario 1 in total, and then for each of the others, I'm simply going to mention the way that they varied. So scenario 1 started at the elementary grades by building in an addition and remodel to the Southside Elementary School, doing the same thing to Kirby Avenue School, and building a a 6-8 addition to Barkstall. At the middle school, before I get to the middle school level, it also replaced.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
It doesn't match what we have in front of us.
Yes, scenario one. This is the first one, the very, very first one. You don't have a detailed description of this one yet. In other words,
So what we have in front of us is different from what you're presenting to us?
I don't know.
So for scenario
No.
one, I have new Dr. Howard K-8 at Barksdale Central as Edison and Career Prep.
Yeah, yes, that's right. I haven't got there yet.
He's also detailing other things that were in that scenario that aren't.
I'm sorry, who are you?
I'm sorry, I'm Heather. I'm a parent, and I was
Okay.
just trying to help.
Okay,
you,
go
but
ahead, Sam.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so maybe just
I
back
could-
up and explain where you're at. so we
Yes,
can kind
all
of
right.
get where we're at.
This is a brief review. It's sort of the Reader's Digest version of the scenario. I thought that I
Okay.
might start by reviewing all the elements of scenario number one, and then just talking
Before we
about
got to-
those things that changed in
Okay,
the
very
subsequent
good.
scenarios.
I'm sorry.
And I had skipped over Dr. Howard, which is probably what you were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Howard would be replaced with a new facility at a new site. So at the elementary level, to recap, Southside and Kirby go through additions and remodeling, and Dr. Howard is replaced. The existing building is retired. At the middle school level, there would be a 6-8 constructed to Barksdale. Franklin and Jefferson would both have additions and remodels. And at the existing central school, Edison would be located in the central school, and there would be a career prep academy. At the high schools, there would be a new central high school, and Centennial would have additions and remodelings, and Edison would be retired. So that's the overall scenario number one, the spot that we started from the DeJong Richter. Does that make sense? Have I missed something? Okay. So from here on, I'm just going to talk about the changes from the original scenario. Scenario number two, we've noted reuse Edison by remodeling. So rather than putting Edison in central, it was remodeled and used in place. So that's how it varied from scenario number one. Scenario number three was called single high school, do not reuse central. So central was retired. So instead of building one high school for central, we would retire both Centennial and Central and build one new large high school. And you're going to note that some of the ideas, I should probably mention, don't make, you wouldn't normally suggest that, but what we wanted to do is vet them in the process to make sure that we had good reasons for making sure that they didn't warrant further investigation. And as you'll see, number three was one of the first that was eliminated. Scenario number four, reuse, we called it reuse Edison and Dr. Howard, build fourth middle school. And while it started out with a fourth middle school, that eventually got eliminated, so we reused Dr. Howard and Edison, and Central was reused for career prep only. Scenario number five, we called career prep at each high school. So instead of repurposing Central to accommodate career prep, we built it at each high school. Scenario six, we called maintain current sites by remodeling and replacing Central in the same location. So here's another one that we just had to see. Instead of not using the Central site, we tore down Central, built a new Central on its existing site. Because, again, one of the things that we wanted to do is leave no stone unturned, so that if somebody said, well, have you looked at this? We should say, yes, we have, in fact, and it didn't test out as well as the other scenarios. Scenario number 7 was called create 2 K-8 models, and so that added a 6-8 addition to Stratton. Scenario number 8 is one that was originally entitled All New Work Creates K-8 Elementary Schools, and why that was its original goal. On the meeting that followed this on October 24th, it got completely revised so that it simply built a new Edison Middle School and used Central as career and prep only. Scenario number 9 said reuse 2 middle schools and create more K-8 centralized district functions at Central. And that's what that one did. Franklin and Jefferson remained middle schools, but it created 4 K-8s, and I'll explain that one more in detail when we get to the final scenarios. Scenario number 10 was called focus on high priority maintenance. And so in essence, we were just trying to do the priority A items at Franklin and Jefferson. The goal here was to keep the cost down, the first cost down, the very first cost. And scenario number 11 was to use Central, repurpose it as a K-8 and curriculum center. So those were the first 11 items. You can see 11 scenarios. A great variety of choices. Again, we wanted to anticipate what someone in the community would say, what are your thoughts? And we wanted to be able to show how well they stood up to scrutiny. So at the meeting on the 14th, we presented the CLEO results. And so what you'll see is that those that are highlighted in red were selected by the Facilities Committee for further investigation, and those that are in blue are selected by the committee to be abandoned, no longer warrant further consideration. You can see number 6 and number 3 were the two lowest performers. By the way, we always keep as a baseline the status quo. That's on the far left. We want to make sure that anything that we propose moving forward is a significant benefit to the status quo. Otherwise, why would you do it? So at this meeting, they eliminated 6 of the scenarios, and as Joan mentioned, they created 4 additional scenarios. We created scenarios 12, 13, and 14, and 15, where scenario 12 was 3 middle schools, no K-8, and so our middle schools, the additions grew larger. Scenario 13 was 4 middle schools, no K-8. Scenario 14 was 4 middle schools, renovate Edison to be one of them. And scenario 15 was 4 middle schools, renovate existing buildings, and do minimum work. As Joan mentioned, during this time, the district did some research on K-8 facilities, and I'd like to ask Matt.
The whole intent of this process is to be able to gather as much information as we can to make sure that we can make as good and sound decisions as possible for the community and for the district. So one of the things that we realized is we need to do a little bit more exploration of the idea of a K-8. So we were fortunate that we had a contact up in Peoria where there's an existing K-8 facility that was built in the last five years or so. And we were able to bring up a team of administrators, teachers. I believe even we had a student ambassador that was able to go up there. And we're able to talk to the people that actually worked there, people that were involved in the building, the planning, and things of that nature, so we get a better understanding of what a K-8 facility might mean to the district as well as the community. So as you can see up there, some of the things that we walked away from that learning experience was that if you have a K-8 building, you'd have fewer transitions for our students. In other words, once you're done with kindergarten, you go from kindergarten, first grade, all the way through 5th grade, you don't have to leave to go to a different school. And there's some research out there that says that that's a good thing for our students. They don't have to relearn a new facility. They already have existing relationships from the school that they were in. They're able just to keep those going as they move through 6, 7, and 8. That's a positive. Other areas that were pros were you could provide a smaller school environment depending on the number of grade levels or strands. You could allow current middle schools to reduce overall enrollment and provide relief from overcrowding in the school district. That's a possibility for us to consider. Also provides an option for students and families, similar to what we do right now with balanced calendars. So provide just one more choice for families in the community to consider as they try to find what's the best fit for their own students. Some of the limitations that came about from this learning process was we may not be able to provide as many opportunities in the encore areas such as instrumental music and extracurricular activities. We believe that the middle school has at their disposal with their current facilities and the breadth of their teaching staff, they're more able to meet a wider variety of options or provide a wider variety of options for our students and families in those areas. Other things to think about would be certification issues. You generally have a K-5 certification for a teacher at this point, and then you can go for a middle school endorsement. So when you're staffing that building, you have to consider what type of certifications are going to be going into that facility. Busing, one thought was if you have really young students, how would that impact being mixed with older students? That was one consideration. Then we would need to have a building administrator that has experience at both the primary and more of the upper level. There aren't too many. We're always looking for good people, but to find good people that have that wide variety of experience to fit that school is just more challenging for us. Not that it can't be done. There are people out there that have taught 1st grade as well as 7th grade. I'm one of those people. They do exist. They're just tougher to find. Facility modifications, professional development, these are some other areas that we'd have to consider as a district. With regards to professional development, when you have a range of teaching from kindergarten through 8th grade as a building level administrative team, how do you go ahead and make sure that you can tailor the needs of professional development for that wide variety of staff? Facility modifications required to address middle school level curriculum needs. If you're an existing K-5 elementary building, you convert to K-8. you need to make sure that you have that facility to be able to meet those needs for those additional grades of 6, 7, and 8. So recommendations, we believe that for the board as they consider the future facilities, that a grade configuration of K-8 would be one nice option to consider as we go forward with the facilities planning. It does tie in nicely with the idea of providing choice for our families, just as we have balanced calendars and traditional calendars. The K-8 option very well may suit the needs for some community members out there. Any questions on that? Yes, ma'am.
So when you're talking about pros, limitations, and then the recommendation, what was the thought process as it relates to the child for social or emotional benefit? Was it seen that there was a social or emotional benefit to a child staying in one building?
With regards
versus-
to the transitions, definitely. The idea of having fewer transitions for a student as they go through a K-8 program. Once you leave from 5th grade to 6th grade, you generally know the school already. You have people that are existing in there that you've had relationships for the last 5 years, so that's definitely a positive. So you don't have to start from ground zero, so to speak. As you hit the ground running with 6, 7, and 8, you already have those established relationships. Don't have to search for those safe people, those people that already know you are there.
And as to the limitations, what kind of thought was given to talking to Peoria, the school that you visited, to address all of these limitations? I would think that they also had those same challenges.
That's a great question. And I would have to defer to some of the people that were a part of that committee to be able to answer that question more thoroughly than I can.
And who would that be?
We had Judy, Arlene Vespa, Kathy Mannon, Cedric, one of our ambassadors, so we definitely, Jamar, so we definitely have some people that would be able to answer that question for you. And if they weren't able to, we definitely have the phone, we can pick up and give a call up there as quickly as necessary.
Was there a thought to taking, if you were rehabbing a school, right, instead of building a new one, any thought to, since this will be new for our district, what if we, down the road, decided we didn't want to go to K-8, we wanted to go back to normal?
Yeah.
So what consideration was given
It's a great
to
question.
that?
I think
Yeah, I
one
think
thing
that
is we
was-
want to maintain flexibility. We want to be able to design the facility in a manner that if we decided as a community or as a district, that this was just not working out the way we intended, that we'd be able to have a facility that would allow us to go back to maybe a larger elementary school if we chose to.
Do we have a size idea as far as how many kids?
Each scenario kind of addresses individual enrollment amounts. One of the things about the CLEO analysis that allowed us to go, okay, how many kids are we projecting in the future? How many do we currently have now? So that mix of building, whether it's middle schools only or K-8, those are the type of things that did kind of come into consideration for us as to
Right, so as
what
you move into the
size.
different scenarios, you'll see if it's a K-8, a 3-strand or a 2-strand, so you
Okay,
can see what the
very good.
population
That
is
was the
being
question.
4-strand, so there's a different variety there.
I just want to make sure that we're,
Keep
all
going.
those numbers and the growth that we have is
And that
just
was-
crazy.
And that was the idea, one of the ideas behind this, try to be able to provide you folks as much information as possible so you can consider those different variables.
Thank you, Matt.
So let's review the final scenarios that the Facilities Committee put together. Scenario 1 you're familiar with, and let me explain the color code here. If something's yellow, it's an addition to an existing facility, and if it's orange, it means the facility was remodeled to accommodate the use. If it's red, it's retired. If it's green, it's a brand-new structure, and if it's blue, it's repurposed. It's serving a new purpose. So you can also see the dollar amount that was been planned for each of the facilities, under each of the facilities, as well as the planned enrollment or capacity, really for the number of students, its educational adequacy, the overall area. And at the bottom, you can see the sum total of costs that this scenario represents. So scenario number 1, I think you're probably very familiar with. Scenario number 5 then deviates from scenario number 1 in that Career Preparedness Academy is now at each of the high schools, instead of centrally located. This was something I think the Facilities Committee found to be important. We want to know does it make more sense as a centralized facility or decentralized at each of the high schools?
Sam, I'm sorry,
Yes.
could I just ask you to go back to scenario 1 and just
Absolutely.
go through? Because even though most of us are around for the
Yes.
DeJean Richter piece, I think that was what confused us in the beginning.
Okay,
We
I'm
went through
sorry.
on the first part, what does scenario 1 include?
Okay, very good.
Remember, we haven't been living,
I
breathing
know.
this like you guys have, okay?
Yeah,
So
just
this
to make
is
sure.
there's
It's
a lot of
Absolutely.
information.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
ton of information. Okay, so scenario number 1, I'm going to start at the upper left-hand corner with Southside Elementary School. So this would remodel Southside Elementary School and construct an addition. So it would take it to a 3-strand facility, accommodating.
It says two-strand on
It's-
ours.
Is this two-strand on ours?
On the,
John
Scenario
Richter
one?
only recommended two-strand.
on that sheet that you're seeing right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a note that we placed to ourselves to
Okay.
note that the original report did have that.
Uh-huh.
And so we varied slightly from that. Our recommendation,
Is
the
to go
recommendation of this
383
committee was 3 strands.
Okay, that would be a three-strand
Yes.
split. Okay.
Does
So
it-
wait a minute. So let me see if I'm understanding what you just told me.
Okay,
This says two-strand, but you really mean three-strand.
yeah, that was a
Okay,
note.
How am I gonna remember that, Sam?
Yeah, I think I would cross through it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a note we put on there to remind ourselves
Okay,
that it did differ from when the plan that I held up, the DeYoung Richter plan said 2-strand, and it was my point to, I was supposed to remind you that it varied in that regard.
very good, thank you.
You're welcome. Kirby would undergo an addition and remodeling, again, 383 students, 3-strand. Dr. Howard would be replaced on a new site, and it would be constructed to be equivalent to the newer elementary facilities that have been constructed with the district. That's the extent of the work.
You have it as 4-strand, though?
We didn't have it as 4-strand, we had it 3-strand plus gifted.
Oh, 3-strand plus gifted.
Yes.
So at the Kirby, we're reconstructing and addition and renovations.
Yes.
Now, and it says 383 students. Is that including the bilingual school that would be put?
The new.
No,
So
No.
that does not include that?
doesn't include that.
Predated, okay.
But it is the bilingual school.
Three-strand.
I mean,
It can
the
still
kids are the
be-
kids,
So
correct?
that would be the
Yeah,
school
that
then?
would just
Okay.
be
Okay.
383
okay.
kids of the bilingual
Will
program.
be inclusive.
Inclusive, yes.
Got it, okay. Very
Yes,
good.
thank you. All right, one thing I want you to note is that in gray, at the lower level, are ideas of what could happen if enrollment went beyond what was projected. So those dollars, you'll see we have something that says a new K-5 3-strand and a new K-8. Those are not included in this plan. That was just the group's thought about what we might do next if enrollment growth warranted, okay? At the middle school level, again, there's the 6-8 addition to Barkstall. There is an addition and remodeling to both Franklin and Jefferson to make them approximately 675 student facilities, and we're making those 21st century ready renovations. You may have more students in there now, but this brings them up to, I would say, state-of-the-art type of a facility. Edison is retired and is located now in the former Central High School, as is the Career Preparedness Academy. So the existing building would serve 2 functions. It would be remodeled to be Edison Middle School and a Career Preparedness Academy.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I've always heard that Edison didn't want to go to Central. Am I not remembering that correctly?
I've heard that as well.
That's true, but we just want to put all the different options.
Okay,
so
I
you'll
just
see-
want to make that comment because I need to be able to put all of this together.
Right.
Not that the work that you just,
No,
I'm
no,
not arguing with you, I'm just want to make that comment.
For
Okay.
clarification's sake, one of the things that you'll see is that there are options in the final
Options are good,
recommendations.
Sam.
Yeah, so you have choices. And then finally, at the high school level, additions and remodeling to Centennial, bringing the capacity to 1,700 students, a new central high school constructed on a new site, capacity 1,700 students. So that's the complete scenario 1, again, the starting point. Any questions on scenario 1? I know it's a lot to grasp.
So we would have Edison available to sell?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
so Edison and then the Dr. Howard site?
yes. Many options for those sites, correct. This didn't select any particular one. It left it open.
What kind of land is Dr. Howard? How many, is it 1 acre? Is it 2?
Just about 2 is what I hear whispered
Okay.
in the back
Okay.
from my partner, Mark.
And Edison, Mark? Do you know what Edison is? Probably 4, closer to 4.
Guessing
Okay,
4 or
thank you.
5. We've got that information.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to scenario 5. Again, what you'll see at the elementary grades is same as it was on scenario 1. What you see at the middle grades is the same as scenario 1. What is different, however, is that rather than having career prep at the former Central High School, it's now split, and it's at both Centennial High School and at Central High School. And Edison now is the only program in Central High School. And for the purposes of this analysis, we removed half of the building so that only the portion that's needed for Edison remained so that there could be additional parking, which is one of the, or play fields. So that's what scenario 5 does.
Can you define what career prep is for me?
Career Preparedness Academy. I think this was an idea that was developed during the DeJong Richter process. And I think there are a couple different definitions for folks,
Right.
but I think this is a program that focuses on those career-type skills that will allow some people to successfully transfer right to careers, or it may also work going into community colleges and 4-year degrees. But it's things like culinary programs. I think it's some types of engineering programs, some types of hands-on labs, shops.
So I guess that would be my point. Was there like shop class or auto
Yes.
mechanics? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
and Judy, since you were involved in the DeJong Richter,
Yes.
you might want to elaborate if I
Certainly,
haven't
so it would give
covered it.
both high schools, so when you see career prep at each high school gives that space allocation to have at least the beginning level courses. So again, part of that conversation will have to be with Parkland regarding those more advanced classes and access to their facilities. But for the purpose of this, these different scenarios, it's just stating that there would be facilities to begin those programs and have access to those programs at both high schools.
So I need some further clarification. So for the career prep, is it just like they're freshman, sophomore, and then they transfer to Parkland to where the actual facilities are? So we're not having a woodworking shop or an auto mechanics shop in
So you
each of the
could
schools?
still
'Cause I wanna-
have the beginning, so you would need like a welding
Okay.
booth and
That's
auto
all right.
and so forth, but the more advanced technical areas, I would say that the district should partner with Parkland to be able to access those.
I agree
But
with
you'd
that.
still have those basic ones there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Some of the classes that we thought about were like, there's usually some sort of English or writing class when you start your major in community college or, so perhaps that could be there. There's usually some sort of math class, perhaps that could be taught at the Career Prep Academy, because it opens the idea for dual credit for high school and for college. Maybe not necessarily automotive classes, but like the small engine class that they teach right now at Central, having that available to students at both schools. Perhaps a CNA class, perhaps some sort of culinary arts class that also includes the possibility for the student to receive their food service sanitation license at the end of the class,
Okay.
because that's a huge benefit if you're out applying for a job
That's
and
right.
have your license.
That's right. Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lynn. Moving on, scenario number 8 was very, very similar to scenario number 1. The lone difference being that rather than relocating the Edison program into Central, a new middle school was constructed to house the Edison student body, and then Central was now repurposed solely to be Career Preparedness Academy. So like the previous scenario, a portion of the building would be removed, freeing up on-site space for parking.
And Dr. Howard would be rebuilt.
And Dr.
On
Howard
current
would be
site.
rebuilt on the current site. Thank you very much. You'll see
Okay.
there's a slight change in the cost, and that's just the cost that includes the demolishing the existing structure and rebuilding this on site.
Could you say that again? Because there
Yeah.
are a lot.
Yes. The change at Dr. Howard is rather than locating it on a new site, we're going to reconstruct it on its existing site. And so that will involve removing the existing building and building the new structure on that site. And so there is a slight increase for the cost to cover that demolition and site work. The other change in scenario 8 is, again, rather than putting Edison in Central, Edison is constructed new as a brand-new middle school. So if you had concerns about, Edison not wanting to be in Central, this would be a scenario that you would gravitate toward.
Sam, on
Yes.
these two builds, the new, in scenario 1, new Dr. Howard, new location, or new Edison, new location, the costs here, those costs are not including land value, this is just building costs, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Okay. Moving on to scenario 9. All right. This scenario it involves more buildings and more dominoes, and I'll try to go over it, but feel free to ask questions. First of all, Southside is now built to be a 4-strand, so it becomes
The
a
Southside parents are freaking out. They love their
Yeah.
two-strand. You know that, right?
It's yeah.
I can hear them.
In this scenario, the Mellon building is demolished, and I'll explain where this program goes. Southside site is expanded so that it becomes a 4-strand K-8. Very different. The goal of this, as you'll recall its name, was 2 middle schools and 4 K-8s. So Southside becomes a 4-strand K-8. Like the previous scenarios, Barksdall has a 3-strand 6-8 addition. Dr. Howard is constructed new as a 4-strand K-8 again. Also, rounding out the middle school levels or additions, the Columbia building is replaced, demolished, and again, I'll explain where those programs go, which frees up site space for Stratton to have a K-8 addition. So both Barksdall and Stratton get 3-strand K-8 additions. Southside and Dr. Howard become 4-strand K-8s. And so it's a different approach. It's a different approach to meet your middle school enrollment. So speaking of middle school, both Franklin and Jefferson have the additions and remodelings. The high schools, Centennial and New Central, are constructed just as they are in scenario number 1. And here's where a lot of the dominoes come together. Central High School is repurposed, first as Career Prep Academy, but second, all of the programs currently housed in Mellon, the Mellon Administration, and the Columbia Center get relocated to Central High School, as does the Novak Academy. So that includes programs in the Mellon Building, the Family Information Center, the Curriculum Center, Novak Academy, Actions Program, and Special Ed Storage. We believe there's room for the space in Central High School for those programs to be relocated. What that allows the district to do is to see some cost savings for reduced operational, and those cost savings have been factored into the CLEO analysis.
I like this one. This is a lot what we've talked about.
Okay? Moving on to scenario number 12. Scenario number 12 was also developed, again, to give choices. This scenario does not have a K-8. So this scenario really leaves your configuration the way you have it right now. So Southside and Kirby continue to be, and Dr. Howard, the same as they were in scenario number 1. What happens is that the additions at Franklin and the additions at Jefferson become bigger to house a larger student population. You can see that they're both now designed for 800 students. Edison does get relocated into Central High School, and Central also becomes a career preparedness academy, just as it is in scenario number 1. And the work at Centennial and the work for the new Central is the same as scenario number 1. So the big difference here is no K-8, you're making the additions at Jefferson and Franklin bigger. Okay? So scenario 13 is similar in that there is no K-8 again, except this variation is that rather than having 3 middle schools, there are 4. So there is a new middle school that's constructed for 600 students. Franklin and Jefferson are renovated for 600 students, and the Edison that goes into Central becomes a 600 student. So that's the big difference here, is that you're going from 3 middle schools to 4. Scenario 14, what's different about it is that it's very much like scenario number 13. It uses 4 middle schools, but instead of building a new one, it renovates the existing Edison. And the final scenario,
You said 4 middle schools in this one?
yes, sir, 4 middle schools in that one. Instead of building a new one, it renovates Edison. You see Edison is orange. So Edison would remain as a 600-student middle school.
And the new one would
So
be
where's the new
in
one?
Central.
And the other one would be in Central, yes. So the new middle school, thank you, Judy.
Okay.
The new middle school would be in Central.
Okay, gotcha. That's not what this is.
The final scenario, scenario 15, again, followed the goal of some of our group that said, let's, again, work to keep costs as low as possible. So the work at the elementary didn't build a new Dr. Howard. It renovated 10,000 square feet and then built 50,000 square feet onto Dr. Howard. In other words, it demolished all but 10,000 square feet of the building and then built a 50,000 square foot addition
Where?
on the current site, on the current site.
Like, is it, on the back side of it where the playground is, or the grass area is, or?
Yes.
That's the only place it could go.
Yeah, it would not be in the location that the current building sits, so,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
But, you know, it'd be contiguous to the 10,000 section that we keep, the best section. Again, we're looking at a variety of
Yeah,
approaches.
that'd be a challenge.
Yes, there's no doubt. That would be a sequencing challenge. At the middle school level, Franklin and Jefferson would just receive the highest priority health and life safety work. Edison would be renovated in its current location. Again, Central would also be the new middle school. And in this time, instead of being career prep, it would be the administration and tech area. In other words, Mellon would no longer, would move into Central. Just like scenario 9 had some dominoes, same with this last scenario. Since Career and Preparedness Academy was no longer in Central, it would be at each of the high schools. So you can see, we have a great variety of options. Hopefully, we've imagined, and the group used a lot of creativity, and imagined almost anything that a reasonable person would consider. We had a lot of great debate. There's a reason that this is that this takes quite a level of review, because it's hard. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask Joan to come up and talk about the recommendations that the group made and the reasons for those recommendations. Oh, I'm sorry. Joan reminds me where I am in the presentation. I'm at the final Clio presentation. And so what you see is from left to right, scores lower to higher. And again, this is a cost-benefit analysis. So you can see the status quo is the lowest. It provides the least value to the district, which you should be able to imagine based on your projected enrollment growth. And on the far end, scenario 9 provides the highest cost-benefit analysis. Yeah, and 9 is right here. It's the highest. If you'll remember, 9 was the scenario that created the most dominoes. It has the highest operational savings. At the elementary level is where scenario 9 particularly shines, because you know, the facilities, there's only 2 facilities at the elementary level in 9. The 4th strand at Southside, and again, Southside, the Mellon building is not there. It's a larger site, as well as a brand new 4th strand Dr. Howard. So it's head and shoulders above the other scenarios at the elementary levels. Scenario 8, I believe, is the strongest scenario at the middle school level. And then they're all comparable at the high school level. What this chart tells us is that you have a number of options that warrant further consideration, that are competitive. and that are significantly close, that now your qualitative measures can help you determine which end up being the right choice for the school district. We know that we've got, with the exception of, some of the second to the last one probably, they're fairly competitive, and so we're going to recommend, the facilities committee is going to recommend different choices, and I think you should be reasonably assured that it's going to be a good value however you proceed moving forward.
On February 20th, several of the groups got together, or we broke into groups, I should say, and we talked about all of the options. And some of the domino effect of one proposal might look good, but then someone would say, but what about this, what about that? For instance, scenario 9, it has 4 K-8s. And the reason why it isn't in the red as far as choices go is because 1 K-8 seemed like something that the community would really like to have. 4 K-8s might be a bridge too far. So while you're looking at why didn't we pick scenario 9, because it's very high on the cost benefit and comparison, that's one of the reasons why that didn't fall under our group of recommendations. It was interesting to note, I think, that when we were separated and talking in our groups, when we came back together, all of the groups were, I think, essentially pretty close to what you see here in the red. So feel free to kind of breeze back as I talk about scenario 8, which is one of the red recommendations. It's similar to number 1. It has a career prep component, is the only programming at Central. Otherwise, Central is repurposed. It has a brand new middle school. It has 1 K through 8. Again, we thought that the community wanted a K through 8, but 1 makes us flexible for the future if more were needed. And as Sam mentioned, this one is rated the highest for middle schools. Scenario 12 is the next one. It has the 3 middle school concept. There is no K through 8 on that one. And it's essentially the same programming, the same concept, other than obviously the remodeling and the needed work that needs to be done otherwise. So then scenario 1 is in many ways the DeJong-Richter with minor modifications. It does have a K-8 at Barksdale, and it does show very highly. It always rated quite high throughout the process. And so those 3 are what, I don't know if you could say recommended, but those, after all of the input, came out the highest in terms of overall recommendations for the facilities committee. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt at this point.
Thank you, John.
I have one
Jamar?
question. So out of the scenarios that you are recommending, they both have the K-8 at Barksdale. Can we walk through why did we choose Barksdale for the K-8?
I'm going to leave that for the tech folks,
Somebody else,
the
okay.
technical people as far as facilities.
I think that recommendation originally came from the work of DeJong-Richter, and it was probably a function of space and size. The site is logical, so I think it was one of the stronger options for the additional square footage.
Okay.
And it's on the south side of the community, an area that has, no middle school and growth, and so we can easily imagine that it would be selected, and desirable, yeah.
Well said, Matt.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Just in summary, we just want to touch on the fact that there's a lot of work that we've put together here through the Facilities Committee. A lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of discussion, and a lot of hard thinking and hard work, really. But we want to just be able to provide you folks with as much information as possible. And I think we've given you plenty of information, but we also try to put it in a form that would be able to help you guide your decision-making process as we look to the future. And we definitely wanted to look at not only the academic needs, but also a financial piece to that as well. And that's something you have to consider and balance as you do move forward. We know that it's not always dollars and cents when it comes to educating our kids. You have to take into consideration what are the programs, what are the choices of the community, and how best to serve those needs of the students, as well as how can we do that in an economically fiscal manner. So with that being said, are there any questions on the information that we provided to you tonight to hopefully guide you in that difficult decision-making process?
2 questions. First, can this presentation be put, is this online or is what we have online? Because they're 2 different.
Correct. That's the most recent one, and we can definitely have that up.
So this one needs to be
this
online?
evening.
Okay.
On the website.
On the website.
Yep.
Yeah. And then with the middle schools, with addition to K-8s, did you guys go into all of our elementary schools are currently feeder schools? Is that process still the same? Does that change? Did you even discuss that at all?
That's a good question. I think that'd be a policy consideration we'd have to take into consideration, because you may have students, let's say that are in a K-8 program, but as those students go through the K-8 program, as they get to 5th grade, maybe the students say, you know, I want to have more of a traditional middle school experience. So I think that would be some of the considerations that we would have to take into account. So not necessarily just a feeder, but we want to be able to provide that choice for families.
Okay.
Matt,
Yes.
some of the thought with this too is if a child's in a K-8 school and decides to transfer out, there's always that transfer period.
Sure.
But, I mean, depending on what schools become K-8, some of the feeder schools for some of the middle schools
Correct.
will change.
That's a very good point. That's exactly right.
Very true.
So for example, I'd say Barksdall right now, if it's, whatever it's happening to feed into right now is a
It goes-
K-5.
It goes to Franklin, so it would.
Exactly, you would have to, and if it were to become a K-8 campus, then that would impact the enrollment process. for
Well, and part of the
Jefferson.
thought too is,
Or
as
Franklin,
we're
excuse me.
opening the K-8s, we're shutting Edison down. We're closing it for new enrollments, so that it's a gradual transition to K-8s for people. It's not a sudden onset.
Yep, agreed.
Say that again. Christine's frowning.
Okay, like when we open Barksdall, when we finish the K-8 wing at Barksdall, or the 6-8 wing at Barksdall, the kids would not go to Franklin, they would stay at home in Barksdall. So we're gonna have a 6th grade class that's open at Franklin. Edison that year would not take a 6th grade class, or would take
I
a
see.
smaller
Or might
6th
take
grade
smaller.
class.
I see what you mean.
Right, so that's part of that
Well,
transition period.
By
that we
then,
have
we're
to
gonna be
consider.
so out of space in our middle schools, they're gonna be full.
And that's a good. Yeah.
Oh, Lord, it brings more trailers.
We're
in.
gonna need that K-8.
Bring more trailers in.
That's what I thought you said.
That's our only solution.
I've got
Laura,
the
I have a
numbers
couple
beat up.
quick questions. I have a daughter that has texted me that she's come down with the flu, so I would like to go home.
Oh,
But
no,
so I
I'm
have a
so
couple
sorry.
quick questions.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then I'm gonna run. The K-8 at Barksdall, it says,
Scenario are you looking at?
Which one?
Christine?
on any of them, it says it's 3-strand, 6 to 8, but it looks like you have 2-strand K-5. 225 students would be a 2-strand.
I'd have to talk to
No, that's a 3-strand.
Sam with regards to that particular
75 per
piece.
year, 3-strand.
Well, if these are 3-strand at 383, then I just want to know what the numbers are.
It's only 3 grades marked notes, so it's, that is divided by
75 students per grade,
3. Yeah.
3 strands.
Yeah, we had the 3-strand at 6-8 being 225 and the 4-strand being 300.
Okay.
We're not agreeing with that number, or do I hear, see us shaking
But
or questioning
225
it?
students,
Three parents, 75 kids per grade, 25 kids per class.
She's looking at the
if we have
Barstow
3
division.
strands at Southside and Kirby, and there's 383 students,
Correct.
why is there 225 students in a 3-strand school at Barksdale?
It's the 6 to 8 kids that are 225.
Let me get the. It's just the addition.
So that's
Yes.
just the 6 through 8 that you're adding?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're at, right, we have the right number of kids. And then they would be 3 strands all the way through? Okay, so a much smaller middle school area. And,
And I think that's what we're talking about with regards to some of the, if you want
Yeah.
to consider them negatives when you talk about programming opportunities, we have
Okay.
fewer students.
and then, I guess, how are we going to move forward on this? And,
Well,
have-
first, I think we have, I mean, I don't know that, we're not making any decisions tonight. Tonight is about presentation and us gathering the information that the work that the committee has been doing. I guess I have a couple of questions. On the facility committee, there's committee members and participants. What's the difference?
That's a good question. We had.
Matt?
That was a good question.
Good question. We've had a certain number of people that have been with us since the beginning. When I said beginning, October 3rd. And then we've been fortunate enough to have people that have been volunteering to come on and donate their time to the facilities committee. To kind of designate or delineate between the people who have been with us since day one as to the people that have been able to join us more recently, that's really how we're just really delineating between the two groups.
So just so we're clear, not everybody has attended all of the meetings. There have been ebb and flow of people in and out of the conversation.
That's-
So for me, to look at this information that comes from a committee, I would think that everybody would have been at the majority of those committee meetings, and that has not been the case. That's a little frustrating for me when you bring this to us and we have to make a decision based on that. However, having said that, there are some good scenarios. That's
Yeah,
just a comment.
No, and I appreciate that.
Us to be aware of.
As one who's worked with the committee, we know that there are a lot of people out there that are very busy and have conflicts at any one time.
Yes, we all are very busy, and I
Yes.
appreciate committee members, but I also understand that this board and this administration will take the brunt of whatever decision is made. So while I am appreciative of the work, understand it's frustrating for me. Okay.
Well, I should just like to say that.
No, ma'am, there's not time for public comment.
Sorry.
Any
It's a
other
business
board
meeting.
member comments?
Any other questions?
I like scenario 9. I think it's, I think there's some good thought, some good use of, property. And for me, it's about the cost savings that we've talked about and eliminating our operational cost and pulling things together so that we have less expense and that we have more unified, facilities.
Which gets back to the idea, when you have less expense, that's the one thing we can control as a district. We don't necessarily have the opportunity to control the revenues, which I've talked to in a couple of different
Yeah.
opinions. And when you're able to control those expenses, it gives you more opportunities to have other decisions be able to be made that you may not have been able to do if you didn't have those costs.
Can you,
or
just
you
off
have
the
to add those costs.
top of your head, Matt, the cost savings in scenario 9, so if we're moving Mellon, Novak, I mean, just a general number? And
We have the operational costs, and I know that we've talked about that recently, Lynn.
For Novak Academy alone, we pay $5,700 per month in rent, plus utilities and other costs. Right now, Matt, Judy, and I met last Wednesday and ran through a few things. Right now, between Novak, Mellon, and Columbia Center, we're spending almost $200,000 per year. And that does not include salaries for people that are in the building. There's also the thought of if people are together, there might be some shared things like fewer copiers because more people can use the same copier. Instead of having a receptionist at each building, maybe you have a team of 2 or 3 receptionists so that they can cover breaks and lunches. But, there's possibly some savings there too.
One thing we've been able to do is improve our energy efficiency. Anytime you're able to actually limit the number of facilities, you're going to be limiting your exposure to gas and electricity. And that's
Right.
something that's on the forefront of my mind here recently as we've been looking at renewing our energy contracts. So, and I know Judy and I sat in on a meeting recently where some of the people that were live and eat and breathe energy are saying that over the next 5 years, we're going to be looking at higher energy costs. So, and once again, it's expensive. So anytime that we can control those expenses, the better it is for us.
I'd agree with that.
So I know that this is a lot of information to take in for the board, and you have a really, again, you've met some good challenges when it comes to selecting us a high school site. We got through that piece. But another piece of this, of course, is coming to the community with a plan for long-term facilities. And so at the beginning of the meeting, Laura, you referenced that we did schedule a special meeting for next Monday. And we're going to continue this conversation and actually talk about some other concepts that may be out there. And so I think it'd be, I just want to state that publicly so that people know that this is going to be an ongoing conversation. And that as the board, you're certainly going to be listening to what members of the community have to say, and we'll certainly get this information out on our website. But again, it's a lot to take in, so
Thank you.
understandable that there's a lot.
Thank you, Judy. And one other thing I want to say, I appreciate from the committee is, one of the things that I think we've stated publicly, the board, is that, we want to be a good neighbor to those that live around Central and to our community. So we want to make sure that there is an opportunity for Central to be something useful and purposeful. And you guys took that to heart. I want to thank you for giving some thought to that. That was important.
It's good work.
Thank you all very much.
Very good.
I'd like to say thank you to the Facilities Committee and BLDD to help us go through this process.
Thank you. Action agenda, new business. Bills and Treasurers Report. Matt.
I'm there.
Chop, yeah.
If you take a look at the total accounts for accounts payable checks for February 2014, we spent $6,277,392.72, spread across the various funds from education all the way through fire prevention. Any questions? Yes.
Have we started using our P card? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, so I need a motion.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Stuckey and Lee.
Okay.
Len.
Have we started using our P cards yet?
Yeah, yes, we've started using the P card on a very small basis. We've had Central High School make a few purchases.
Okay.
We did some training with Commerce Bank, I think it was last Thursday or Friday. In fact, it was Thursday, and I followed up with them on Friday, and our first payment is scheduled for the 13th.
Okay, so we'll start seeing the impact of the P card on next month?
It would be through the education fund, so when you actually are looking at the check registry, things of that nature, you'll be seeing expenses electronically done for
Okay.
Commerce Bank.
Okay,
Can
thank you.
Remind me what that is.
Purchase card. A purchase card allows us to join the 21st century to some extent. We've been making purchase orders for quite a long time and still continue to do purchase orders with paper, but there are some vendors out there that do not want to take a purchase order from a school district. But if you have a purchase card, which is very similar to a debit card or a charge card,
I get it.
they're
Okay, never
happy
mind.
to take credit in cards.
Okay.
It's much more user-friendly for the school district, and we can
Less
still
paperwork.
and what we still track receipts and things of that nature to make sure that there are appropriate purchases. And in fact, we're actually able to put controls on the card to actually prevent certain vendors from being utilized. So it's quite a nice way for us to control how we are making purchases.
Excellent. Okay, good. Any other questions? Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Stuckey and Lee.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Sabley?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. You did get Karis, yeah, of the agenda, he snuck in here. The consent agenda is the next item. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Brown and Savely.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Sabley?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. I do want to make a comment on the consent agreement that we just agreed on unanimously. Matt, I just want to thank you for the janitorial bids. I know I asked you if they met the criteria that we'd set for our minority participation, and we have women and minorities that did participate in this, so I want to say thank you very much. I know that as a board, we worked hard to make sure that we address that issue, so I want to say thank you for that publicly. Yep. Executive session, we're now scheduled for executive session. I need a motion to move into executive session in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act, 5 ILCS 120/2C, necessary to consider one or more of the following subjects included but not limited to 120/2C1 employee appointments, employment compensation dismissals, complaints, 120/2C5 property acquisition, lease purchase, and 120/2C6. No, I guess we don't need that one. 6, setting of price of for sale or lease of property. Need a motion?
So moved.
Stuckey and Brown.
Ms. Stuckey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Savory?
Yes.
Okay, passes 5-0. 7:25, we're now in executive session.